Hi, my name's Bronwyn Eastley and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Tasmania, Australia. And today I'm going to demonstrate a new card fold called a Decorative V Corner Card. It does have a bendy card insert as well, as you can see in there, and a hanging gold hoop embellishment for a little bit of extra interest. So I'm going to demonstrate this particular card today because with SALE-A-BRATION coming up in a few days' time, it features the lovely stamp set called A Touch of Ink and the designer series paper called Flower and Field. Alright, so what you need to do is you need to start off with your standard portrait sized card, and you will need to fold the front in half and the back in half, so you end up with 4 equal sections or 4 equal panels in your card. Then you need to measure down from the corner down 4 centimeters, and then you'll need to cut that one off on the left hand side, and then you'll need to measure down 4 centimeters on this side from the corner, and you'll need to score that side and fold down. Bring in my paper cutter. And cut. This side needs to be scored. Just score across there. Okay, so we end up with that so far. So what I'm going to do is just rub the lines off on this one so we don't see the pencil marks. Okay, so that's the start of our decorative corner card with a V. And we're going to add a bendy insert later on and a gold hoop. Okay, so if you would like, you can get, no, wait a minute, we'll just start off with our field and flower field designer series paper, which is free with a $90 purchase of Stampin' Up products from January the 5th. So you get a nice big pack of 12 by 12, beautiful florals in the pack. I think I showed that in my last video, so if you haven't seen some of the new products, you can go back and check that out. So what I've done is I've cut this down 1/2 centimetre in height and width, and then I've once again measured down 4 centimetres and cut at an angle from the top corner down there. I've done that with the other side as well. I'm just going to glue those 2 panels on. I tend to use glue rather than a roll-on adhesive because you've just got a little bit more wiggle room, because I don't have that quite how I want it at the bottom, so I can just easily peel it off and re-stick. Okay, so that's the front part of your decorative V. So what I do is bring in the punch with the tiny little hole there and just line that up. Get that other piece out first. Line up where the hole is and punch. So you've got your tiny hole for the ribbon to go through. So you've got that bit. Then the next thing that you need to do is to get the bendy insert that I've cut just from a piece of designer series paper, and that measures, I think, let me just see, 2.6 centimeters by 9 centimeters. I'll put all the imperial inches measurements in the PDF, so don't worry about that now. You can have a look at those later, but I'm just mainly concentrating on centimeters today for a change. So I've actually scored in 1/2 centimetre from either end. Actually, no, it's a whole centimetre from either end, or it would be 1/2 inch if you're working in inches. So, and I've put a bit of tear and tape adhesive on the side tabs. So we're going to get this bendy, and I've made sure that I've actually sort of, bent it a little bit, so when the card mechanism opens up, that bends out quite easily. And I've used pattern paper because it is a bit more flexible than cardstock, and it just looks nicer. So take that off there, and what we're going to do is we're going to line this up so it's in the middle, roughly. Just work out where we want that to be. I want it to go down to the V section there, about halfway. That looks about right to me. Okay, so yep, that looks good. So when you go to open up the card and sit it like a corner card, you'll see that that just comes out and bends, pops out and bends like a card insert. But you've seen those bendy cards that people make. Well, this is just the same sort of concept as that. It sits down flat when you put it in an envelope, and then open it up and you've got that 3D effect there. Okay, so I decided that I would not add a sentiment to that like I did with the last one. I'm going to add a butterfly from the set Touch of Ink, and this is another SALE-A-BRATION set that you can earn with a $180 Australian purchase of Stampin Up products during January and February. So you get this lovely set for free. I've got lots of different, it's a 2-step stamping set, beautiful images in Touch of Ink. And I'll also be using the sentiment with that as well for our label. So I'm going to pop the butterfly in that. Now I've stamped that butterfly from the set onto a piece of another piece of Flower and Field Designer Series paper, and then with Tuxedo black ink, and then I've just used my Wink of Stella glitter brush and covered that beautiful butterfly with the glitter. Pop a little dimensional on there, I think might be the easiest way to go, so I can centre that. And I don't want this to protrude above the top of the card, not too much anyway, so I might just pop that about there, just a little bit above the top. So, ooh, is that going to work? No, it's not, so I'm going to have to put that a bit more in towards the middle. Looks like you can't have it going over the left edge as well. It's not going to work. So that's good to know. Yep, there we go. That's much better. All right, so now we've got the inside bit done. Then we can join up the card down the front seam. And for that, I've just got a strip of Pool Party cardstock, which measures 10.8 centimetres by 2.6 centimetres, and of course I've scored in the middle at 1.3 centimetres. It's basically just the length that is from your V down to the bottom of the card. Okay, so then we fold that together and we've got it at the front of our card joined together. So there you have the start of a Decorative V Corner Card with the bendy insert. Okay. Now on a Decorative Corner Card, you want somewhere obviously to write your sentiment. So on the back, I've cut a piece of black cardstock, 14.3 centimetres high by 10 centimetres wide, and then I've cut the panel down the middle at the 5 centimetre mark, and I'm going to put those on the back right in the middle so it joins up there, and you've got the edge, the pool party edge around the card. I glue this one on this side right up against the middle edge of the cardstock. And I'll just check to see if that's not overlapping too much down the middle. Then apply glue to the other side. So then that folds nicely at the back there. Now put the black mat on basically because it just adds a little bit of extra weight to the back of the card, because when you add the gold hoop, you want the card to sit upright and not be too top heavy, I guess, or overbalance at the front. So this, to add the cardstock at the back, just gives it a bit more weight, and your card sits up nice and just sits up well, doesn't fall over. Okay, so that's the back already. You can stamp a little image onto the back if you wish, or add a little bit of extra cutout DSP, but I won't do that today. So turn over to the front of the card, and we're going to next add the sentiment, which is best wishes from the Touch of Ink set that I shared before, the SALE-A-BRATION set, and I've just cut that from using the detailed bands dies in Pool Party and Whisper White, or Basic White as it's going to be very soon. So that's going to go on the front, and so it pivots really well on a corner card like this one. You need to add a couple of circles to the middle here, so the label will pivot on those. So now I've cut 2 little circles from a retired punch that I have, but you can use a small circle die punch, and what you simply do is score both of those in half. And I've actually put a little mark there, you can see where I want the circles to go, because I've already positioned where I want the label to go on there, and I want it centered. So it's a good idea to just pop a little pencil mark to show exactly where you want that to go. So you glue 1/2 of the circle, and so the fold goes in towards the middle. You go right up against the edge of the seam of the cardstock there, and then once again the fold towards the middle, join up of the 2 circles on the fold, so you end up with a bit of a 3D pivot there. So you add a little bit of glue now to that middle section. Then line up your label so it hides underneath that oval label. Just line it up so that is center, in the center there. Just hold down. Just lined up those middle points of the detailed dies. Okay. And then you can see that it has a bit of a 3D effect when you open up the card, which is a lovely little touch. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of extra to this side of the DSP over that open bit of V there, and I'll just get a couple of, just use a dimensional for that, and yep, one on this side as well. Don't want to do too much because the floral background is really enough on its own, but just to add that little bit of extra dimension over that bit, so you're creating a bit of depth there in that V section with the addition of the fussy cut flowers from the Flower and Field Designer Series paper. All right, the last bit that I need to do, put that aside, we're going to get our hoop, our gold hoop, and I find the easiest way to add or attach the fussy cut flowers is using a glue dot. So I grab a glue dot and pop it onto the hoop, and I just roll it up a little bit so it sits on the edge of the hoop. So squish it up so it just becomes a little bit of a ball, and pop my first little bit of fussy cut flowers onto that bit. Grab another glue dot. Once again, just add that underneath. We just want it to go like a ball on top of the rim of that gold hoop, so it sits securely onto there. And then our last bit of DSP is going to go underneath that. So I've got a nice little floral wreath to hang down from the card. Now, as I said before, all the instructions for this card will be available on my blog. I will be providing measurements for a metric A4 card that you can make, and also an imperial letter size card, US size card that you can make as well. So both will be provided, and I'll have 4 different examples of cards that you can, cards that I've made using this fun design. So there we've got the beautiful flowers attached to the gold hoop. Right, just bring in the card again, and as you can see, that's going to hang off the corner there like so. So I've cut a piece of sheer pull party ribbon. I find that sheer ribbon or twine, or it's a lot easier to tie a bow on these cards than other types of ribbons. So I'm just going to thread that through the hole. Thread that through our gold hoop and just tie a bow. there you have it, our Decorative V Corner Card with a bendy insert and a hanging gold hoop. So I hope you've enjoyed that new card fold, and I'd love to see any creations that you've made using that fold. As I said, all instructions are on my blog. Thanks so much for watching. So here's another one that I did using that design and the same designer series paper along with the daisy punch. I also have one that I made with a set from the annual catalogue. And lastly, a lovely boho indigo version of that particular card fold as well. And I think this one is actually my personal favourite.